Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, YouTubers. This is Jerry Diamond with How to Get Out of Babylon. And I'm going to be reading chapter 24 and 25 and finishing off this book. I'll decide where I'm going to go from there. And don't hang up on me tonight, Ray. I know I said goodbye, but you probably signed off too. But I was going to talk a little bit. I'm going to do that tonight, probably. Kind of pour my heart out, wear my heart in my sleeve like I normally do. I know this is not set up right. I don't know what the heck the deal is. I can't quite see my head, so okay. Spin this around. Okay. A little bit better. Yeah, really. Okay, I don't care. You don't care, I don't care. What happened to Horace Grimsby and Barry Smedlow? On that same night, Barry Smedlow was sucking on his last piece of Sweet Temptations candy and staring at the Kramer house. I'm hearing too much noise. I think that was an echo I was hearing. Okay. Barry Smedlow was sucking on his last piece of Sweet Temptations candy and staring at the Kramer house. His father had given him strict orders to talk to Sheriff Kramer and apologize to John, but Barry had ridden his bicycle, the Goliath Cobra Deluxe, all around town for 3 hours, making excuses and wasting time. It's too late to see the sheriff now, Barry said, sitting in the shadows of a large tree. I should have destroyed that trash-heap bike when I had the chance. I didn't really steal it. It was Grimsby's fault. If I'm going to get in trouble, he's going to be in trouble too. Big trouble. I wish I could see him right now. I'd show him. Show him what? Horace Grimsby hissed, stepping out from behind the tree. Ah, Barry choked, swallowing the piece of Sweet Temptations. I think I'll show you something instead, Grimsby said, and his eyes suddenly glowed red. Barry gasped. Then the figure with red eyes put his hands up to his ears and pulled forward, peeling off the face of Horace Grimsby. As the face came off, Barry screamed and shot out into the street on his bicycle. He was halfway down the block when he looked back. Horace Grimsby's black truck was speeding down the street toward Barry. Two tiny red lights glowed behind the windshield. Barry yelped and pedaled faster, jerking down on the Cobra gear lever. The wheels hummed in high gear, but the bike stopped moving. The tires turned round and round, burning into the pavement. Barry moaned and pedaled faster, but the tires just smoked and melted away. The front tire popped, then the rear. Thick black smoke surrounded Barry. Grimsby's truck squealed to a stop. The front door opened. Barry jumped off the Cobra Deluxe, coughing from all the black smoke. He smelled something terrible and dead. The last thing he remembered before he passed out was two red eyes and a glowing hook swinging toward his throat. The sound of metal hitting metal. Then everything was enveloped in the darkness of a nightmare. Grimsby's black truck was roaring down the old dump road. The red telephone glowed on and off, but Grimsby refused to answer. It wasn't my fault, he said, trying to ignore the telephone. I told you I needed more help. This boy made me fail. He's mine now. The red phone glowed brighter and more rapidly. The figure snarled, then grabbed the phone and threw it out the window. The phone exploded as it hit the road. Red flame shot high into the sky. The black truck was blown sideways into a ditch and stopped. The explosion left a tower of smoke in the air. The smoke began to blow and swirl and twist into a deadly familiar shape. Two red eyes glowed out of the blackness. A mouth opened and a roaring hiss shook the ground. I refuse this punishment, the driver yelled. With tremendous force, he knocked the door off the truck and jumped out. He snarled again and shook the glowing red hook at the gigantic serpent. A flash of lightning leaped from the serpent's mouth. As the lightning hit, the figure that had been Horace Grimsby glowed and disappeared. All that remained was a tiny pile of ashes which were promptly sucked into the snake's mouth. Then the snake turned toward the truck and spit fire again. But this time the lightning stayed in the air, a road of fire. The truck lifted up into the air and flew on the road of fire, disappearing into the darkness of the snake's mouth. An explosion rocked Barry Smedlow awake. Where am I? Barry asked. He looked around fearfully. By moonlight, he realized he was at the old dump outside town. On the ground next to him was his Goliath Cobra Deluxe. Both tires were melted. The wheels were bent and many spokes were broken. Barry remembered Grimsby's face and shivered. He had been through a terrible nightmare. In the dream, he had traveled through the air in Grimsby's truck on a road of fire that led right into the mouth of a giant snake. The snake had swallowed him. Barry had felt suffocated because a huge chain had been locked around his neck, his throat. Something had happened inside the snake, but Barry couldn't remember quite what it was. He felt cold and empty. His mouth was dry as if he'd been chewing ashes. But it was a dream. But if it was a dream, how did I get way out here? Barry asked. The mounds of trash looked like heaps of ashes in the pale moonlight. Barry shivered. I'm getting out of here. He picked up his bike and noticed something different. A small black metal box was bolted onto the handlebars right above the gear levers. A circled white X was on the side of the box. Somehow the box reminded him of his nightmare, but Barry refused to remember. Barry was afraid to remember. He quickly began pushing the bike into town. Boy, am I in trouble, he muttered. They'll never believe me. And look at this trash-heap bike. Now he's got a trash-heap bike. Maybe he went deeper. John lay in bed. This is the last chapter, by the way, and it's short. John lay in bed, sleeping the next morning. A bird called outside his window. The boy felt a tug on his neck. The bird cried again, and at the same time another pull on his neck made him open his eyes. If he had been wiser to the ways of the deeper world and of tragic, he would have known the tug was his broken chain. But John still had much to learn. Might as well get a head start, he said, hopping out of bed. He quickly dressed in his jeans, t-shirt, and sneakers and walked quietly out to the garage. He knew exactly what instrument he wanted to put on the old bike first. The gear lever. Gear levers meant speed. So he figured. But John was rushing things. As soft as a dream, the demon pulled the chain harder, whispering, faster, faster. How nice. Better hurry, John said, so I can surprise everybody before breakfast. John knew he should wait for his grandfather. Grandfather's last words had been, don't put on your shoes before your socks. What was the harm in putting on one instrument? That way it would be ready when his grandfather got up, and the gear lever only had 3 positions. His old bike was a 10-speed, and he'd never had a problem with it, had he? John accepted all the excuses the demons whispered, making them his own. Using the screwdriver and pliers, John quickly fastened the lever back onto the handlebars as he had found it. A wire cable ran from the gear lever, but ended broken. It must attach to the rear sprocket, John said, dropping to his knees to inspect the back wheel. Sure enough, in the center of the back sprocket was a small lever with a hole in it. It must go in there, right there, the boy said. He ran to his uncle's workbench and found a piece of wire. Shoes before socks, a voice whispered in his mind. Although the wire seemed too thin, John decided to use it anyway. He was in a great hurry. He connected the wire to the gear cable, then ran it along the frame down to the back wheel. Within a minute, he attached the wire to the small lever on the back sprocket. That should do it, John said, wiping the grease onto his pant leg. He heard noises inside the house. The family was awake. Just in time, John said, rolling the bicycle out the small garage door into the backyard. He pedaled slowly, then pointed the bike into the air. The Spirit Flyer glided smoothly above the ground. John leveled it off at 3 feet, then turned in the air, flying slowly back and forth across the lawn. Uncle Bill, Aunt Betty, Grandpa, John yelled, come out back and see me. Quick, I'm going to try it out. Within 10 seconds, the whole family except Lois came outside and stood on the patio next to the barbecue grill. Try out what? Susan asked. I didn't hear him either, Uncle Bill answered. Surely he hasn't already put on. Grandfather Kramer's voice died away as he saw the gear lever and the cable. John, what have you? Watch, John shouted. At that instant, the boy pushed the gear lever with his finger. Something clicked. The whole family heard it. Then there was a hum. As they watched, John faded, disappearing into the air. Wow, did you see that? Catherine asked. Oh my, Aunt Betty cried. Bill, Grandpa, can't you do something? Shoes before socks, Grandfather Kramer muttered. I told that boy to be patient. What's happened, Dad? Uncle Bill asked. Will John be all right? Sure, he'll be all right, the old man said. But are you sure, Aunt Betty asked. Sure, I'm sure. He's on the Spirit Flyer, isn't he? He won't hurt himself. Though he might have to learn some hard lessons. So you know where he went? Aunt Betty asked. Nope, I don't know that, the old man said, chuckling a bit. Haven't got a clue. From what I saw, he didn't have that leather hooked up correctly. Shoes before socks. I warned that boy. Oh, Bill, what can we do? Aunt Betty asked. You can't do a thing, Grandfather said. But don't worry, he's all right. As I see it, he have just done one of 4 things. He could have gone faster, that's the simplest, I suppose, or he could have gone backwards or forward. I have a feeling you don't mean backward or forward like in a car, Uncle Bill said carefully. Nope, not like that, the old man said. I mean backward or forward in time, and you knew it. Oh, Bill, Aunt Betty cried, you've got to stop him. How? Uncle Bill asked. By, oh, Bill, Aunt Betty said softly. So he could have gone faster or backward or forward, Uncle Bill said. That's only 3, you said 4. Well, I suppose he could have gone deeper, the old man said. Maybe he went deeper backward or deeper forward, but I didn't really see how he had the gear lever hooked up. Deeper, Aunt Betty said. What's that? How do you mean deeper? Yes, how do you go deeper? Uncle Bill asked. Let's go out to the tractor, Grandfather Kramer said. I want to show you an old pair of goggles, and then I want you to try on a hat. You can listen to the story of magic and know what it means to go deeper. So while the Kramer family sat around the old red tractor in the garage and learned about the story of magic and the deeper world, John was flying the Spirit Flyer on a new adventure known only to the Kings. All right, he wrote that book in Lima, Peru, while he was studying in Lima, Peru. There you go. End of that book, The Magic Bicycle. I'll think about reading another one. I don't know. Doesn't seem like anybody gives it. So. As good as it gets. I think we are all zapped. Huh. So the rest lets you find other channels, huh? I don't know about that. I bought a copy of my grand. Oh, cool. Awesome. Way to go, Gap and Kaboom. Now, you going to read it to them? Or do they visit very often, or they live in the same state, or, you know, that's pretty, yeah. Very good set of books for kids. There's like, I think 8 of them, maybe 9, I don't know, maybe more by now. I know there's 8 for sure, so I got a set of the first 4 from eBay. They're not sleeve jacket or anything, they're just paperbacks, not anything fancy, but, better than nothing, so. Cool, awesome. All right, well, I don't know. Pour my heart out here a little bit, talk a little bit. Like I said, if anybody cares. So, I've been increasingly, opposition here and there and everywhere, mostly by people. And I'm really, really tired. I'm stressed. I don't need stress physically, and